Hey everyone, and welcome back to Ask an Atheist. I'm your host Ethan, and alongside me is Apostate Ashley. Ashley, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really good. How about you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for taking the time out to sit down with me.
Yeah, likewise.
So, before we dive into you, I'd like to talk a little bit about the Better Conference. I understand you went this past weekend.
Yeah, I did. And it was my first atheist conference. So it was
And
really cool.
for those that don't know, Better was brought to you by the Atheist Network Group. They had a lot of guests like Genetically Modified Skeptic, Holy Kool-Aid, Dave Warnock, Paula Gia, Shannon Q. The list kind of goes on.
Seth Andrews.
Seth Andrews. So what did you think of it?
I thought it was really awesome. It just felt like it was a room full of people that I interact with online or watch / listen to all the time. And for me, meeting Seth Andrews was really cool because that was my first atheist content when I started diving into it. And so that was back when I was still a pastor. And so I would put the headphones in and I would just listen to him for hours and hours. And so it was nice to meet the person that kind of influenced me, and I was able to soak up their content for so long.
That's
and
awesome.
Obviously Dave Warnock, I've been friends with him for like a year and a half. And so it's been cool to see him finally in person.
Right.
And then, I don't know, just everyone. I mean, the people in this chat, like there's Secular Rarity, and my husband's in here. It's just, I saw so many people that are just always in these chats that we're always saying hi to. And It was so awesome because it was like the biggest thing that I missed about being a part of the church was community.
Yes.
And so it was just something else I want to say about it is it was called Better. And a lot of the presentations and the panel conversations were surrounded around us as atheists being better and having better conversation, better discourse, being better with those that maybe aren't atheists either, but having better dialogue with other people that may have a like-minded goal. So to stop nitpicking about whether or not Jesus was real or not, but to start talking about, how can we reach these goals, these like-minded goals, whether it be with progressive Christians or us atheists, with some of the bigger things that are happening in our country and banding together.
Right.
And so it was really cool. And it kind of, I don't know how else to put it other than my Christianese words, but I felt convicted.
Christianese words, I like that. Yeah, I was scheduled to go, and I unfortunately got really sick and on my way there, and I ended up turning around, and I was so disappointed.
I know, it sucks. I wish I would have met you too.
Same. There were so many people I wanted to see again. I was super excited to meet Cosmic Kyle and Secular Rarity. Like, I've been working with them for a long time. So I wanted to give everybody a big hug because it's so exciting to see all of them. And as you said, be in a group of like-minded people. That community we have online here is great. It's one of the best communities I've ever been a part of.
I know, me too. But it's not quite like it was when you go to church and you're there every week. Aw. It was a pleasure to meet you too.
Haley,
it was nice to meet you too. Yeah, you guys were so nice. Kyle was one of the first people that I saw when I was walking up to and his girlfriend. They were some of the first people that I saw right when I walked up. And Aunt Kathy was standing there in Secular Rarity. Neil, 604 Atheist, and I'm trying to remember who all was right there. But yeah, they were like the first ones. Kyle was so sweet too. He was helping Dave out. He was like right there with Dave, very attentive to what he needed. I just wanted to say that.
Nice. And for those that don't know, Dave Warnock is honestly one of the sweetest and most, generous atheists I've ever met. He's been incredibly helpful to me personally and professionally. And it's been an honor like that I've gotten to spend time with him and call him a friend.
Yeah, it's like he's so interested even with what he has going on, such a huge thing, having ALS, having that diagnosis and having to face that, but staying positive and continuing to encourage people. I mean,
Right.
It just really makes me realize how lucky I am with the time that I have here.
It makes you appreciate it a lot more.
Yeah, most definitely.
And one last question about Better. Kyle's tall, isn't he? Isn't he like 6 foot something? Or am I wrong?
6 foot something. Yeah, I don't know about something. I'm not sure. I didn't stand right next to him, but I would say he's pretty close to 6 foot. Yeah.
I'm curious because I thought he was, a taller dude.
He was tall. I mean, I'm short, so it's like I'm only 5'3", so.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I totally guessed wrong. I figured you were like 5'7", 5'8".
Cool.
I was way off.
Samsonite. I was way off.
I wonder how many people in the comments will get that reference.
I hope they do. I remember back when I had a MySpace account in like my bio or whatever, I put Samsonite. I was way off. Name that movie and you're cool.
Such a great movie.
Yeah.
I didn't end up watching part 2 though. Have you?
Yeah, it wasn't that good.
No. So is
No.
it even worth watching it?
No.
Okay. Well, then I won't. I'll trust your judgment on that. So you had said you were a Pentecostal preacher, which I want to dive into a little bit more. But you stumbled across Seth Andrews and started listening to him. How did that happen? How did you stumble on him, and what kept you listening?
Well, it was around probably the beginning of 2013, which was the last year that I was out there at the church in Iowa. It was out there in Des Moines, Iowa. I was a part of a denomination called Open Bible. And it's very similar to Assemblies of God, and actually derived out of Foursquare churches, which is what Dave Warnock was a pastor in. So it's just similar, very, very Pentecostal, very charismatic, like all of the things. Okay. So
is that essentially what Pentecostalism is, like charismatic, out there? So were you one of those like really loud, obnoxious?
I'm not naturally like a super loud, obnoxious person. I think I was very passionate, and I've always been very passionate about what I believe in.
Okay.
But I also think that I had a level of like normalcy to me throughout all those years. So kind of similar to how I am as an atheist. But I would have to say that I would use a lot of if you can hear that, that's just my dogs. But I would almost use like the prayer and worship, the intense prayer and worship, almost as a coping mechanism emotionally to, kind of like meditation. It was very cathartic, and it was actually very hard to figure out how to cope with my feelings once I left, because I no longer had that or did that or dealt with it that way, I should say. But okay, where were we going with that?
So how you got into Seth Andrews and what made you start listening?
Right.
And then
Yes.
I'm sorry. And then I also said, could you expand a little bit on what being Pentecostal means?
Okay. So I'll do the Pentecostal thing. So Pentecostal, that's based on, Acts 2, when it goes into the upper room, the day of Pentecost, when, the room was filled with the Holy Spirit, and they all received tongues of different languages. And it was the first time the Holy Spirit had, hit a group of people on the earth after Jesus had died, basically. So it's kind of based on that, the day of Pentecost in the upper room.
So were you a part of any churches that spoke in tongues?
Oh yeah, I was speaking in tongues, and we would pace, and like when worship was going, worship would be loud. And I was also a director of a group called Master's Commission, I should say.
Okay.
If you've ever heard of that, it's it's like an intense discipleship group. It's kind of like a Christian boot camp, and we memorized Bible verses, like 300 Bible verses in a year, and we would do Bible courses like on the road, and then we would travel and do like missions trips all over the country, and then one out of the country at the end of the year. But it's basically like a cult Christian boot camp type thing. Very like
fun.
It wasn't. The only thing that was fun was the closeness that I had with all of the people, because we were always together. But it was very intense, strict rules, very intense consequences. And it was basically training to be a missionary or training to be in the full-time ministry somehow. And so that was kind of how I got my schooling and all of that. But as time went on, as the years went on, I was a Master's Commission student, then moved up to be a director with my ex-husband. And then hey, Kathy. And then we moved on to being the assistant pastors of the church as well. And that's kind of how my time ended there. And so my last year was in 2013. I was 27 years old at the time. And I was on Facebook, and I was debating people on Facebook about different things, just apologetics type stuff. And I had been pretty kind of almost obsessed with why this one guy left as one of the pastors of the denomination I was in. He was an older guy. He just completely flip-flopped his theology and left the open Bible churches and went to be a part of the Universalist Unitarian churches. So he completely dismissed the whole hell doctrine. So I got caught up in a lot of his conversations of things he was posting. He wrote a book and everything about it. And so a lot of the people that I had talked to on there they were pointing to me to a lot of resources on the doctrine of hell. And so that was kind of what was getting me skeptical. I wasn't an atheist yet at this point. And to be honest, I didn't really feel comfortable saying the word atheist until I legit actually left Iowa and got out of there. But I did, once I started diving into Seth Andrews stuff, that was because I had kept coming across more conversations, and somebody in a chat somewhere suggested Seth Andrews and said, here, listen to some debates. I don't remember what the name of the debates were, but it was that plus Seth Andrews. And they said, if you listen to the debates, you're at least listening to your side. So you don't have to feel bad or guilty or weird about listening to it. But you're hearing both sides. So I did that. And that did make it a lot easier, I would have to say. And then I did go and listen to Seth Andrews. And at the time, this was 9 years ago, so Seth's show, The Thinking Atheist, was even more like, I would have to say, gentle, soft atheism type conversation, even compared to what it is. And I would still consider it that now. But it was exactly what I needed at the time, because it was very gentle. He didn't really mock Christianity that much. And I felt very comfortable with the fact that he had been a Christian radio broadcaster for like 20 years. So I knew he understood, and I didn't feel judged listening. So that was basically the gist of it. That's how I got into it. And I would have to say I probably listened to him for a good 6 months before I started to try to make my way out of there.
So, and eventually you got comfortable in identifying as an atheist then?
Yeah,
And
I did.
how long until you started saying that publicly to friends and family? Did that take, much longer?
Yeah, with friends and family, personally, not like posting it out there. My dogs, hopefully you can't hear that. I'm trying to.
And my cat's usually running back and forth. She's not right now, so.
I have a baby husky. Wait, hold on. Oh, he went away. I wanted to show you him.
Let's see him. Grab him.
Okay, hold on.
Hope everyone's having a good time. Make sure you like, subscribe, check out Apostate Ashley's channel, which is in the description of the video. I know I used to do the perspective every Tuesday. I will be bringing that back soon. But in the meantime, Puppy. And what's his name?
He's not going to want me to hold him for very long. He's a little husky.
And what's his name?
Rocky.
Hi, Rocky. Any chance he's named after the movies Rocky?
No, we have a golden retriever too, Sandy. She's down there, and we named her Sandy just because it's like a color thing. Like she's like Sandy, like sand.
Oh yeah,
Rocky, like a rock, and they're kind of the same.
So, jumping backwards a little bit, if you could tell me a bit about your upbringing and how you got so heavy into Christianity.
Well, I actually
heavily raised that way. Was it, indoctrinated with you?
My parents did not heavily indoctrinate me, for sure. I have a really great mom. Great mom, very logical. She did everything to take care of us and give us the best life that she could. Really, she was amazing. She still believes in God, but she's one of those safe Christians, I would have to say. Like she's progressive minded.
Oh, okay.
She doesn't believe in any of like the real hateful stuff.
Okay.
I don't really want to say too much about my dad.
Okay. Whatever you don't want to talk about, no big.
But hold on, let me try to think. My mom took me to church for a little while, but that was from the ages of 5 to 8 years old, and that was at an Assemblies of God church.
Okay.
And so that's kind of how I got introduced into it. But there was a church split around the time I was 8, and my mom she couldn't find a church again that she really felt at home with, like she did at that one. And so we kind of stopped going to church. It kind of just fizzled out after a while. We did try other churches, but it just wasn't the same anymore. And eventually, around the time I was 12, I got invited to youth group by some kids on the bus that I went to school with.
Okay.
And so I started going with them, carpooling with people. And just over the years until I got my driver's license and I could drive myself, I would find rides or ask my mom to drop me off or something. Okay. But I basically just started going myself. I mean, my mom and dad encouraged it. They liked it. I'd have to say that's probably when they were the most proud of me in my life, is when I was a Christian and I followed that path.
Right.
But I definitely was the most passionate in my entire family. And I was the only one that really followed the path of going into the ministry.
Oh, wow.
And I was definitely the most intense, most strict, most fundamentalist out of the whole family, which is actually kind of strange considering the fact that my mom and dad didn't really instill that in me.
Right. Yeah, I would have thought they would have with how invested you were in it, but surprisingly they weren't.
It was more like, I had the influence of other adults that would be at those churches that, or other kids' parents, youth pastors, youth leaders, things like that. I would have the encouragement of those people a lot of the time.
Okay.
So, yeah. And it was just kind of like, I'm kind of like a really passionate person at heart. So sometimes I am just like at 100%, like 0 to 60. So it was like
that. And sometimes people confuse like passion to think you're upset. It's like, no, I'm just super excited to talk about this.
Yeah.
And you just want to spill everything out of your mouth so rapidly.
Yeah. That is definitely how I felt about it back then. I was like, I mean, like as a teenager, I told everybody that Jesus was my boyfriend and I wasn't going to date.
Really?
Yeah, things like that. I would do like the see you at the pole and try, refuse to take the test on evolution.
Oh, no shit.
That was hardcore, man.
Wow. So did you just tell your teachers, like, I don't believe in evolution, so I'm not taking the test? Or how did that happen?
Yeah, I did. And he was really pissed off. And he said, fine, you'll get an F. But he basically wouldn't put up with it. He's like, either you're getting an F or you're taking this, but I really don't want you to back out of it because you need to learn this over your church crap, basically.
Oh, wow. That's kind of aggressive for a teacher.
I know.
So you took the F?
No, I actually tried to take the test.
Oh, okay.
Because when I wasn't expecting that he would get mad, because the assumption when they gave the encouragement in youth group to do that was that it would be like an honorable thing.
Oh, okay. So like they would let you off, but that wasn't the case.
Yeah, but instead I was just like the annoying girl.
Yeah, I was Christian, but I was definitely never that Christian. Like I never bought it fully hook, line, and sinker.
Like you didn't genuinely believe it wholeheartedly yourself?
So I genuinely believed in God.
Mm-hmm.
The whole Jesus thing never actually like made sense to me. He's the Father, he's the Son, he's the Holy Spirit. He sent himself to sacrifice himself to himself. Like when my mom first tried explaining that to me, I just kept asking questions, and she's just like, well, I don't know. That's how it is. And I was like, that's how it is? Like, that's not good enough for me. Like none of this is making sense. Also, when I would go to church and everyone was like humming and singing, I could never get into that either. I was like, dude, if God, this is kind of weird if God needs us to do this. So I guess you could say maybe I wasn't a true Christian.
Yeah, because I mean, like, when worship was going, I was one of the nuts. Like the nutso people that was like jumping and like really getting into it.
Wow. I wish there was video footage of it. I want to see it so bad.
I know. And we did these things when I was in Master's Commission called Human Videos. And it was basically like, I don't know, basically like doing a live music video to a song. Okay. And so we would make it, maybe sometimes like sign language movements or something, or like a cool dance to it, or act out like scenes. We would have like a Jesus and stuff. Very dorky, but yeah, we would do all that.
Interesting upbringing, that's for sure.
Huh?
I said you definitely had an interesting upbringing, that's for sure.
Yeah. A lot of that was like, that part was in my like 18, 19, 20, 21 years old, around there. Those
were you a
4 years or so. Huh?
Were you a drinker when you were 21, or were you like opposed to drinking and stuff?
I was opposed to drinking, and then I ended up becoming a pastor, and within that denomination, we were not allowed to drink alcohol at all. Oh, and so I actually didn't have my first drink until I was like, I did have one drink on my honeymoon with my ex-husband. And then I felt guilty, and I went to my room and I was crying, and I was like, I'm a horrible Christian. Aww. And
all over a drink?
Yeah, one drink. Well, it was because somebody found out that it was our honeymoon, and they bought shots, and I had never had a shot before or anything like that. And so I felt really guilty. It felt like that was like really aggressive.
What was that first shot, by the way?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
I have no idea. They just ordered it. and I just like did it.
Was it something good or was it gross?
I think it was good. I think it was just kind of sweet or something.
Okay.
But then I didn't really have like I didn't really have my first drinking experiences until I was 27 when I left.
And did you get it out of your system then? Like when you became 27, did you start drinking and partying more, or was it just kind of?
Yeah, I mean,
like usually people have like a phase they go through when they're 21, or whenever they first experience with drinking, they go through this party phase. Did you have anything like that or no?
Yeah. Well, because I was also going through a divorce at the same time, so I kind of went through.
Divorce club.
You did too?
Yep, I am divorced.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I'm on my second marriage. So my first marriage was with a pastor, who we pastored together, and now I'm with my husband now, Tyler, who, he has like a bachelor's in biology and was a chemist and stuff like that. So it's like totally different.
Right.
And so I don't know. And we're very, like-minded. We both are atheists. And that was important to me. It very much was important to me. And
it absolutely makes a difference. Like I went into my marriage a Christian Republican, and I came out of it an atheist liberal. And once I did become an atheist liberal, and I ended up telling her that, like the friction started in that area. Whereas now I'm dating someone who is also an atheist liberal, and it's just having that part where we agree so well with is really nice. Like it makes us blend together. And I remember the first time when I found out she was an atheist, I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to catch you up on something. I'm like, do you believe in horoscopes? Do you believe in essential oils? What about MLMs? I started going down the list of everything I believe. And she's like, no. I'm like, dude, you're a skeptic too. And I was so excited. She passed this long test.
I know, because it feels like such a small group of people.
Right. It's rare because I'm sure you've met atheists who believe some of the most off-the-wall things. Whether it be, ghosts or aliens or the earth being flat. So not all of us, as the Daily Atheist used to say, have the same handshake. Some of us atheists have a little bit different handshake, which doesn't line up.
I totally agree with that, because in all honesty, so this would be like a great time to actually say this. Okay, so I'm a part of the Clergy Project, being a former pastor, and one of the qualifications to be in the Clergy Project is that it doesn't say that you have to be an atheist. It says that you have to dismiss all supernatural beliefs. And so if you are a current or former pastor who wants to be a part of a small, discreet group of also former clergy, most of us are former Christian clergy, but we do have former Muslim and Jehovah's Witness, Catholicism, there are other denominations and religions, but it's discreet. It's people have pseudonames coming in, even so they don't necessarily get rid of their identity, because it is a big thing as a pastor to leave. It's not like a regular job. You literally, it's your community, it's your family, it's your spouse, your children, your job, everything. And so when you choose to walk away, you have to be kind of smart about it and be prepared. I was not. But now that I'm a part of the Clergy Project, I really see the benefit of anybody who is dismissing these supernatural beliefs, and they are clergy or former clergy, and you want to be a part of a group to figure out how to get out. You don't know what you're going to do when you leave, when it comes to a job. It's going to be, it may be hard, very hard emotionally, but we get 12 free sessions with Secular Therapy Project and career coaching and things like that.
That's awesome. So it's like a little community to help you rebuild your life, essentially.
Yeah, and just the friendships that you make. I mean, it's such a small, specific group of people, and the fact that it's usually so discreet, and like, you know, we have there's a website like forum that is a secret website that, you know, once you get screened and you're accepted into the clergy project, because they have to make sure that you really were clergy and that you understand the discretion of it, that not everybody is necessarily out as an atheist or a non-believer. So you can't like mention people's names unless they're like out openly.
So is this like the Atheist Illuminati?
Yeah.
I want to join the Atheist Illuminati. What the hell? But I'm not a former pastor, so I'm screwed.
That's actually how I met Dave Warnock.
Okay.
Because he's in the clergy project too. But I've met quite a few really cool people. It's really kind of crazy. I mean, it's mostly men, I'd have to say. Okay. But and I just got asked like literally today to be on the board of the clergy project. So I guess I can officially say I'm like a communications director.
That's awesome. I'm so happy for you.
Yeah, thanks. I really want to get it out because I really think it's a great nonprofit. And if you go to the Clergy Project website, it's just clergyproject.org. They have an option there to donate if anybody wants to. You know, everybody's volunteer, so nobody's paid or anything like that. But
I thought we as atheists make all this money. Haven't you heard?
That would be nice, but you know, it's able to go towards things like the counseling that they provide to us, because they front the bill for those first 12.
Okay, that is incredibly generous and really awesome. Like, I can only imagine how helpful that is. I've been fortunate enough I used the Secular Therapy Project, and I found a therapist, and she's been phenomenal because I've gone through four therapists, and they just weren't a match. And then once I went through the Secular Therapy Project, bam, got one, and honestly very happy. She's helping me a great deal.
That's really awesome. Did you choose somebody locally or virtually?
Virtually. I didn't want to have to go into the office.
Yeah, I know. It is, the whole virtual thing has made it nice since that's become like a thing lately. And that's like where you can go in and you can find somebody with specific specialties to your needs and what you struggle with, with your like specific religious trauma.
Right, because religious trauma is a real issue, and people need help with it. We do have a question from the audience from Micheal. Question, Ashley, what's your least favorite argument for God that you've heard? And a second part to that question that I'd like to add on. Is there any argument for God you find most compelling?
These are hard. I didn't think about these. I think I find it ridiculous when people basically say it's so pretty, God must have done it. But yeah, it's so pretty out there. God must have created it. And I guess the most compelling, shoot. I don't really know.
Yeah, is there any? Like, have you heard any where you've been like, huh, that I didn't think about it like that? Like,
no,
for me, no.
No, not for you either?
No, I have not. Like, some people think the Kalam's compelling, and to me, it's just a bunch of philosophical assertions. It proves nothing.
I'd have to say that's probably where it makes it a little bit more difficult. But it's not compelling to me in any way. Basically, once I walked away and I saw it, I couldn't unsee it. I just couldn't unsee all of the bullshit. So none of it was compelling to me anymore. It was like I finally saw it for what it was. I was like, whoa, what the heck?
See, and I've often heard people, Christians say you could choose to believe in God. I don't believe belief like that is a choice. What are your thoughts on that?
No, because either you're convinced or you're not. And if you're not convinced, you can't choose. You just can't choose to believe that if you're not
No,
convinced.
I completely agree. I try to listen to as many arguments for God as I, can, but each time I hear them, I become almost the more arguments I hear and the more apologists I talk to, the stronger of an atheist I become because I'm
Mhm.
seeing less and less and less things that I find are compelling.
Yeah. I mean, even with some of the smartest Christians that come on there and have an argument, it's just they're a smart person, but their argument is just not convincing to me.
Right. Like, are you familiar with Dean Meadows, the Daily Apologist?
Mm-mm.
Okay, super nice guy. Um, and he loves the Kalam cosmological argument. Him and I have done a debate on it, and a very, very smart individual. He's a good dude, but it's just not convincing. And I don't understand why he or other people find it so compelling because in no part of the Kalam is there any actual evidence for a God.
Yeah. Yeah, Kat mentioned fine tuning as well. I think that um that kind of goes into the whole like it's pretty and awesome. So, but why are we thinking that there's so much order
I don't know.
and perfection?
Like one of my stepdad's arguments for God was, look at your nephew. You want proof for God? That's proof right there. It's like that's not proof of God. That's just proof that two people can have a baby.
Yeah, that's just
Uh,
proof of reproduction.
yeah, exactly. And that's really it. So Captain Fleeg has a question.
That's my
Uh,
husband.
Hi, husband. What
Tyler.
other views have you changed since your deconstruction, other than religious ideology, view in politics or LGBTQ plus rights? And to add on to that, do you have any paranormal beliefs or do you dismiss those as well?
I dismiss those as well. I mean, I guess when it comes to like aliens or something, I don't think that it's like and it's impossible that there's other life out there or anything, but I also think that we're just incredibly too far away. I also don't believe in things like crazy weird things happening here on Earth. I just don't I literally don't buy any of it, anything. Like
Agreed.
I just I think it's all ridiculous. When it comes to my political views, LGBTQ rights, I would have to say I always I could never buy into oppressing LGBTQ
Mhm.
people, no matter how fundamentalist I was. I couldn't. And I would even be like open and argue about that with the other staff members when I was there. I just didn't think that was right. Now being uh, out for a while, I feel very, very strongly for equal rights
Mhm.
for all sorts of groups of people. I feel very, very, very liberal these days, and I feel like I was really only maybe voting as a Republican or identifying as a Republican just because I was in such a isolated group of people that were also voting as Republican. So it was the only viewpoint I was around or knew. And once I got out and kind of started to see how much it was really oppressing other groups of people, how much Christians were infiltrating the government and how much of a problem it was. I started to notice the last election, not this last election, but the one before, but then started feeling very, very strongly about being a liberal and everything that comes with that
Mhm.
this very last election. So it's progressively changed, and I've become very, very progressive over the years.
Are you as progressive as, say, like a socialist? And not in the way Republicans describe it, but like a democratic socialist or a traditional socialist, or do you end at liberal?
I don't know. To be honest, I'm still trying to figure out a lot of my politics.
Okay.
I don't know. To be honest.
No, that's a fair answer.
Very liberal, I'd have to say. Definitely yes to that.
Okay. I don't know. Always a great answer. Oh shit, I just lost my train of thought. Squirrel passed by. Damn ADHD. So what specifically got you into atheist activism? Was it the passion you had like when you were a Christian and wanting to be a pastor? Or, what got you from A to B?
Well, I'd have to say that I went dark for about 7 years after I left the church and kind of just went into survival mode for a while. And then about 2 years, I started getting on social media. And that was right around when the protests were happening. The George Floyd thing happened. And I just became increasingly more upset. And I didn't feel like it was really enough to just be on Facebook and post things about it.
Right.
And I feel like I need to be more open, especially after being at the Better Conference. I really feel more of a push to maybe talk more about politics and what are happening. But like my specialty and what I knew was like theology and like what was wrong with religion. So it's kind of scary to me, but I feel like there are some really important things that I really need to be speaking on. And so I really think it's like my angry atheist phase never really went away. And sometimes I feel increasingly more mad about how much religion affects all of us in this country.
I agree. I had an angry atheist phase. I still have like that angry atheist inside of me where certain things, like when Roe v. Wade got overturned, I was so angry that I'm like, I am not posting anything right now because I'm just going to flip out, and I don't want to flip out. It's not going to serve any purpose. It's not going to get me anywhere. So I'll make a few comments and leave it at that. But that is really upsetting that, that was overturned, and people with uteruses, bodily autonomy has just been stripped away, especially with all the states that have trigger laws in place. Like, this is such a terrible thing that happened. And, I hope more people can get involved and speak up, and we can help make the changes necessary to restore that.
Yeah, because it really feels like it's going to keep unraveling and it's just going to get worse and worse. I saw somebody today make a what if type comment, but it was a scary thing that, could potentially happen considering what has just happened, but said, imagine maybe what if they're going to take away women's driving rights at some point? What if it just keeps progressing? What if it just regressing, keeps getting worse?
Right. And that, who knows how far the far right extremists want to go.
Yeah.
So you attended the Better Conference. So this, I think, is a great question. How do we have better conversations, especially with people we disagree with?
Well, I really liked the general idea around it not being a conversation just with other atheists or just with other non-believers, but it being about like-minded goals. So whether, like I said earlier, whether that be with other progressive Christians, if we are talking about what is important and working together towards specific goals to make this country or society, better than what it is now, and banding together as a society and a community. And when talking with people about religion, whether that be other atheists, whether that be on our platforms, whether that be with other theists, that we don't dehumanize people being behind the screen, that we remember that that's a human being on the other side that may have legit justifications for why they are believing what they're believing. And you have to, kind of like we said when we were a Christian, but still the same thing applies. Meet them where they're at.
Yes.
And have civil discourse with them. Ask questions, use epistemology. Don't mock them.
I couldn't agree more.
Don't use words like stupid or unintelligent. I had to add that.
I don't even like I don't even like using like some fallacies. Like I don't ever use the argument from ignorance fallacy, because to me, the second you say, "Oh, that's an argument from ignorant fallacy," all the person heard is you calling them ignorant. Then their defenses are going to go up. They're going to get upset and they're going to stop listening. In my opinion. So yeah, I agree. I don't. I'll be honest. Sometimes I've seen areas where with extremists, I think mockery is needed, but it's not my cup of tea. I prefer the friendly approach. But there were times where someone mocked my views because for me personally, I needed a harsher approach to getting me to deconstruct. And listening to certain people that were harsher actually got me to snap out of it much quicker. So I do find some useful, but I always prefer the friendly approach.
Well, I guess I really like the saying, that a lot of us say is attack the ideas, not the person.
Yes, exactly.
And so, I mean, it can be like, I hate your ideas. I hate the way that you're thinking. That's not right. That's
right.
Wrong and immoral.
Now, time for my most important question. What are your top 3 favorite movies?
Oh, God. Oh, it's been a while. Let me think. Okay, well, we were talking about Dumb and Dumber. I mean, obviously, that's one of my favorites.
That is a great movie.
I do love that movie.
While you're thinking, I'm going to
Greatest Showman, and I'll just say Hamilton because I love those.
I haven't seen either of those.
Oh, really? Oh my gosh, they are awesome.
Star Wars fan or no?
No.
What? Dude. Okay, you're not a true atheist.
You said that about me because I said I didn't have a cat.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because for some reason, in my experience, so many atheists seem to be cat people. So it's weird when an atheist is like, I'm a dog person, even though my girlfriend's a dog person too. So
yeah, that was what that post was about, because she was a dog person, you were a cat person.
And she actually destroyed me. I think I had like 20% votes and she had like 80% when I counted. It was like, wow, that did not go my way. Even though I'm sorry, cats are cuter. They really are. They're so tiny and so cute.
Yes. Okay, well, all animals are a sweet animal is a sweet animal.
That's true. Cats are easier though. Like you can go on vacation for a couple of days.
That's true. Yeah, that's true, and they can be pretty low maintenance too.
Yeah,
although
exactly.
John said that he's not friends with me anymore. His cat is a murderous butthole. I was gonna say I'm pretty sure he's a cat person, but I guess maybe not anymore.
Dog person, my cat is a murderous butthole. That's awesome. My old cat, Bandaid, before he passed, was kind of murderous, but he changed his ways as he got older.
My husband and I, like my family and stuff, because to the conference I took my sister, brother-in-law, and my stepdad and my husband with me. And we made friends with other people there. And so the Skeptic, he has a channel on here too. We became really good friends with him and his wife. They're super cool. I think that was like one of the coolest things. It's like, since I've left Christianity, I mean, I lost everyone. I had no friends. I came back and it had been such a long time since I had seen anybody from high school or growing up like around here. And I didn't feel like I really had anyone or any friends. And so it's been super cool to like have people to hang out with. And we all made plans to go to NanoCon too.
Oh, what? That's November?
No, that's end of July.
What was I
It's on
looking
July
at?
30th.
Oh, okay. Where's it at?
Burns, Tennessee, right outside of Nashville.
Okay. Yeah, that's
And
kind
so
of
there's going to be like Dave Warnock's going to be there, Seth Andrews, Mandisa Thomas, and who else was going to be there? Is maybe Dr. Josh Bowen's going to be at that one too? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think I saw him on the list of guests as well.
Yeah, so we're going to go there, and it's like, it's so cool. It's like we're meeting up with other atheist friends again.
I'm so like, the more I talk about better, the more I'm just like, oh, this sucks. Like, I wanted to be there so bad. There were so many cool people.
And that wouldn't be too far from you either.
No, it was only like
too bad.
What was that?
Or yeah, it wouldn't be too bad. How far of a drive would that have been for you?
Only 3 hours.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sucks.
Mm-hmm. It was a major bummer because I had been looking forward to it for months.
Have you ever been to an atheist conference?
Yes, I was a speaker at last year's Faithless Forum, and honestly,
cool.
One of the best experiences of my life. Like, I was in absolute heaven, meeting everyone, hugging everyone, talking to everyone. Afterwards, like, a whole bunch of us went out and drank and danced and we karaoke'd. It was
fun.
Yeah, it was.
We went to a gay bar on Friday night, and that was so cool. We saw drag. Drag queens. Yeah, drag show. It was so fun.
That is awesome. I went to like a partial drag show, but I've always wanted to go to like a full drag show, and hopefully my girlfriend and I have talked about going, so hopefully we'll get to one soon.
Yeah, you should. It's like amazing. A couple of them, they were like doing flips off the stage in like tall platform heels, getting up on the tops of the tables and doing like kicks in your face and stuff. It was pretty cool. And then like one of them sang Mariah Carey, which is one of my favorite pastimes because she was one of my favorite singers from like 5th grade on.
Mariah Carey is a phenomenal singer.
Yeah.
Like I'm not a big fan of her music, but singing wise, she's awesome.
Yeah, she is.
I'd like to real quick thank the top tier patrons of this channel: Cindy PLAZA, Left Right Left, Ryan Hammond, Kenneth Leonard, Skye, Secular Rarity, Philip Leitch, Richard Gilliver, _Atheism, Ameet, Mathew, and Ray Sylvester. Thank you so much for your patronage. Okay, Ashley, what do you have going on, or what do you have coming up, whether it be on your channel or going anywhere else?
Okay, so I'm actually recording for a video. I do pre-recording, pre-recorded ones right now. And so I'm doing one tomorrow with EJ Hill, a part of the Clergy Project. And so I'll be posting that probably next Wednesday. And I plan to start doing some uploads around like Wednesday nights, maybe at like 8:00 p.m. Eastern time zone. And I'm gonna be on Neil 604 Atheist on the 5th.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, so that'll be kind of cool. So I've heard that I become an official atheist if I'm on his channel.
That's true. You're not. The community will welcome you after. No, you're already welcome. But no, it's like it's a rite of passage. Like you have to be on Neil 604 Atheist channel to be considered a true atheist.
Yeah. And by the way, he's so nice. He looks exactly like his pictures too.
He does. He's a total rocker, man. He's awesome. And so
yeah, he's super cool, super nice. Yeah. I guess I didn't really get into any of like the crazy emotional stuff about my story, but one thing I guess I just want to say is that at the time there wasn't as much online community as there is now. And so there's a lot of really great resources out there for people. My coming out and my leaving was hard, and it was very abrupt. And sort of traumatic. At the same time, they were wrong in a lot of the things that they did at the church, and I was also wrong in some things too. But it shouldn't be that hard to try to leave a community or leave a tribe. And because it is for some people, there are resources out there, you know, recovering from religion groups, there's Secular Therapy Project. And if you're current or former clergy, then the Clergy Project is really great. You can be a part of the Clergy Project discreetly, so you can make a plan to try to get out. But it is really important, if you're in that place, to try to reach out to some sort of community somehow, so you can get support and make a plan and be vigilant about trying to get out. Because I really think that that makes a big difference when you go about it. Try to go about it the right way.
Right. And I love Recovering from Religion. If you haven't seen, we've done 2 fundraisers for the past 2 years to celebrate the anniversaries of my channel. We'll definitely be inviting you on for next year if you're open to it. But it's a great organization. They're really there to help you, and your secret is safe with them.
Yeah, definitely.
So, Ashley, thank you for taking the time to sit down with me today. It was nice getting to know you. Everyone else, like and subscribe, and all of Ashley's channel links and stuff is in the description. Have a good night. Thanks again.
Thanks.